Okay, we're talking about Isaac Henry Bradley
Yes.
and Estella Galena Davis. That was your great grandfather and grandmother. Your great grandmother's mother was Indian, and her father, the man that owned the farm, or the plantation owner, bought her mother for her father. Now, I don't remember her name, and her father's name was Mike. And they said that he drowned himself. He got up in age, and the only thing they found was by the side of the riverbank or a lake bank was his hat and his walking cane. That's all they found. They never found the body. Now that was her father.
They owned the land?
No, we ain't got there yet.
Oh.
I'm just telling you about your great grandmother in the Indian side of her family. Her father was a sharecropper. The plantation owner bought her mother from whoever, I don't know if it was her father or what, or the tribe that sold her, or how she was sold to the plantation owner. He bought her, and she married, his name was Jeff Davis Hayes.
What city or town?
This was in, I'm thinking it was Tennessee, but I'm not 100% for sure, but I believe it was Tennessee that she was from. Now, getting to her husband, who was Isaac Henry Bradley. He was from the Carolinas. And Dries gets it biscuit-bobbled every time, and if I told him once, and I told him 100 times. My mother's mother was the one that had Indian in her. And he was born just outside of slavery.
What year?
Pardon?
What year was he born?
I can't remember what year. I know it was September the 28th, but I can't remember the year that he was born. But he was born just outside of slavery. And he traveled a lot. He had property all over the United States, all around the United States. He had property in Oklahoma and other places. He moved around. He's the one that bought the farm, that had the farm. And he had a store, and that was him. That was her father. Her mother, my mother's father, like I said, was a sharecropper. Excuse me. I guess that's the next best thing you could say to being a slave. He was a sharecropper. And the guy that owned the farm bought his wife, who was Indian, from, like I say, I don't know whether he bought it from the tribe or how it was bartered, but that's the way it went. And he changed his name from Jeff Davis Hayes to Jeff Davis. Reason being, there was another person right around the same area that had the same name that was constantly getting in trouble. So to keep from constantly being locked up and harassed, he dropped the Hayes. And he went as Jeff Davis. But originally he was a Jeff Davis Hayes. His last name was Hayes. But he changed it because of that. Now Isaac Henry Bradley is the one that bought the farm. That would be your great-grandfather.
I mean, Jesse's dead.
Yes.
Okay.
That's your grandfather's father. Right. He had the farm. He had the general store, and he had sharecroppers that worked for people that worked his farm and stuff, and he ran the general store. And as a kid coming up, I can remember going to the supermarkets like Big Bear and A&P and stuff like that. And they would be on the cash register calculating the money, and he would figure it out in his head before they even pushed the last button. And if he said it was $15.92, he would argue a penny. And reason being, he owned the store. And mathematically, he was counting up stuff all the time. And he was a character. He was a character. Nobody, as he would say, nobody would dispute his word. Matter of fact, he was his word. If he told you something, then he did exactly that. And if you told him something, then he expected that and nothing more than that. If you told him he loaned money, and the way he got his money was the property and stuff that he owned and the store. And when he left the South and came here, he brought his family, which was your great-grandmother, my mother, your grandfather, and two aunts, Aunt Louise and baby sister. He brought them here. And he already had money. And he would buy a house, and he would have roomers. And I don't know what he charged them. And then he sponsored one or two other families to come from the South here. And he would set them up, and then they would reimburse him. And he also, I don't know if you know of New Mount Moriah, the church over there on, what is that, John R. and Owens?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. He founded that church. That church started in his basement. And he got the grounds and stuff that they built that church on. He was one of the founders of that church. And Wilson's funeral home that's across the street from it, he gave Wilson the money to open his funeral home. And there was a couple of other people that one guy had a gas station, and he fronted the money for his gas station. And he was known over in this area as the person to go see if you needed money or whatever. And he worked a short time at Packard's. And I can't remember what your grandfather did, but it ticked him off. And he told your grandfather not to be on the same side of the street that he was on. If he seen him, he better take his butt on the other side of the street. And so when Uncle Jesse would look up and see grandfather, he would go on the other side of the street and walk past him. And that house over there at 641 Rosedale,
Right.
originally that was his house. And I think he also had a house over on Richmond before they moved to Rosedale. And then they moved from down on Oakland to up between Woodward and John R. on Rosedale. And then they left there and came here to 136 Tennessee.
Okay. Now I know my granddad Jesse, he had 32 kids. 34, 32.
He told me he had 28. He had 15 girls and 13 boys.
Okay. What about,
That's what he told me. I don't know how many kids Uncle Jesse had.
so he had 4 different wives.
Let's see. There was trying to think. Bagaline, Aunt Murders, and I think he had a wife, one other wife in the South when he was young. Yeah, he had 3 or 4.
And so now you said the names of my great grandparents, you know, the ladies, their names.
Okay, your great grandmother, your grandfather, Uncle Jesse, his mother was Estella Galena Bradley, but it was Estella Galena Davis. That was her name. Her maiden name was Davis, which had been changed from Hayes.
Okay.
And then she had, trying to remember how many brothers and sisters she had. That was 2, 3. I think she had 5 siblings. 2 of them died when they were young. One had a seizure and fell over into the fireplace. The other one caught like smallpox or something of it and died. And the ones that lived was Uncle Claude, which was a twin. And Uncle Claude came to Detroit. The other one stayed in St. Louis. Trying to remember his name. I can't think of his name. But he stayed in St. Louis. Aunt Georgie married Samuel Love. And he's the one that invented the Coke machine. The machine that you get your sodas out of today.
Yeah.
He's the one who invented that.
Wow.
And from my understanding, he was in a store and it was during the summertime and it was hot. And he was saying, wouldn't it be nice if you could have a cold soda? And he came up with that and never really got anything for it.
Wow.
And see, and that was your great-grandmother's brother-in-law. That was her sister's husband. And that was about it. Grandmother was basically a home person. You know, she never worked outside the home that I know of. My grandfather kept her. Well, he didn't keep her, but he provided her the home. She ran the home. He's the one that went out and made the money. Now, your great-grandfather had, I can't remember how many brothers and sisters he had. And I think it was, I want to say it was all boys. I think it was 5 boys. 2 of them lived in Cleveland, 1 lived in Chicago, and I can't remember where the other one lived. He was the oldest of all his siblings. And like I say, he was a character. He was a character.
What you say? Do you got any obituaries or old pictures of the
I'm sitting here thinking now. I have some pictures, but I can't. Let me see. Oh, here we go. This is your grandfather. That's your great-grandfather. This is Isaac Henry Bradley. And as you can see, he was a tall guy. He was tall.
Okay.
This is Estella Galena Davis. That was your great-grandmother. That's his wife. And that's Sean.
Yeah, I know that.
That's Sean. Now, this is my mother, and that's your grandfather, your great-grandfather.
That's Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is grandmother later on. And this is her again. let me see. Tell who that is. This is baby sister. No, this one here. That I don't know who that is. I can't think of who that is. Let's see. This is my mother and your grandmother.
Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Which one is Murtis?
Huh?
So that's Murtis?
No. This is your great grandmother.
Oh.
This is my mother.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't Aunt Murda's. This is baby sister. These are all pictures of her. That was them in California. Oh, this is Uncle Sandy. This is the one I told you that invented the Coke machine, the pop machines. This is him sitting there. And this is Aunt Georgie. This is her husband. This is your grandmother's, your great-grandmother's sister. Okay, these are some more relatives. This is Clarence Wilson. This is his daughter. This is the bar that they own. That's Helen.
Who is this?
This is Cynthia Verline Bradley. That's, she was the oldest of three girls. Your grandfather was the oldest sibling. Then it was her. Then there was baby sister or Genova. And then there was Louise.
And you say this is the first black insurance company or one?
Right.
And they built their building on Woodward.
Great Lakes. Great grandmother's brother. That's one of her brothers. That was Reverend Claude C. Davis.
Grandmother.
That's your grandfather's mother.
And her name is
Estella
Estella.
Galena Davis Bradley.
Especially like for the young folks. So in this picture we have who?
We have Isaac Henry Bradley, Estella Galena Davis Bradley, your great-grandmother and grandfather.
Okay. And this picture right here is them.
And that picture right there is your great-grandmother and your great-aunt.
Great aunt name?
Genova Bradley, better known as baby sister. And then you have Jesse James Bradley.
All right.
And then you got John. There's a picture of them.
That's your brother? That's your brother.
Elyon.
And that's Isaac.
And that's Marvis and his wife. You got your great-grandfather, your great-aunt, your great-aunt, your great-uncle, your great-aunt, Clemmy Bradley, Johnny Bradley, Dorothy Bradley, and your great-grandmother. It's Clarence. That's my dad. I think that's Marcus. That's me. That's me. That's me training